So I'm going to go ahead and finish this one up. I'm going to drill my holes, put the screws in, solder my eyelets on, put the caps on it, tape off the screws so I don't get any clear coat on them, and then clear coat this thing. And the clear coat, if you put 2 or 3 coats of clear coat on this and let it dry, it will lock these turns down so they can't move. And that's the goal here. Okay, 7 megahertz trap. And the resistance bump, this blue trace is set on resistance, is 6.860 megahertz, 6.86 megahertz. And here we go. So I'm just going to disconnect the wire. This is the end of my end-fed antenna, 40-meter wire, which is about 65, 66 feet. And the idea is we're just going to attach our trap to the end of that and see where we end up. Now we have to put wire on the other side of the trap to get a reading. We can't just attach the trap, unfortunately. So the way I do this is I'm going to just make a temporary eyelet this way. And this is just for testing purposes until we get the length right. And then we have 34 feet of wire. This will probably have to be shortened, but I'm going to just go ahead and attach all 34 feet to start with to see where we end up. This wire isn't anything fancy, it's just 20 gauge wire that I salvaged from some old Christmas lights. 20 something gauge, probably 22 gauge or 24 gauge. And there we go. 7 megahertz trap installed in line. And now I'll just go ahead and haul it back up into the tree. Now technically I'm not doing this the right way because this wire is going to be touching the limb of the tree, which you really shouldn't do because with RF, especially the end of a wire, you can get high voltages enough that you can actually create a spark and set the limb on fire. But for testing purposes, I'm going to just do nano VNA sweeps. I'm not going to be applying any serious RF to this wire. So, and then later on, I can go ahead and put an insulator so that it's not touching anything flammable. And there's our 7 megahertz trap. Well, let's go in and do a sweep. So here is what changed. Actually, the 40 meter resonance didn't change hardly at all. So we're good there. I'm going to leave it right where it is. It's a little low for voice on 40 meters, but it's close enough. I'm not going to mess with it. So before, it was resonant at 6.940, and now resonant at 7.050. It's basically a wash. And then 80 meters is 3.540. So we're low. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to whack 4 feet off the end of that 80 meter wire and then come back in and we will re-sweep. So let's do that now. And we're back. And the first trim that I did was 4 feet. This one, I did the sweep and it didn't really change anything. It was still resonant at about 3.54 megahertz. So I went back out and I whacked 5 more feet off of it. And now our resonance is 4.080 megahertz, but it's very broad, and I think I know why that's happening. So let me change, let's see, let me go down. So what we're seeing here, I think, is just a weird resonance because of the tower that this antenna is attached to. I actually had an 80 meter resonance on this antenna before at 3.902 megahertz, and I shouldn't have. It's not an 80 meter antenna, or wasn't before. So I think what is going on is I have the staggered resonance because the tower is kind of loading up to give me 80 meters somehow, which can happen. So there's my wire, 4.04 megahertz. And then this right here is the resonance that existed before I started all this experimentation. So will it work on 80? Yes, I think it will. And it's actually very broad, but I think that something other than the wire is radiating here, and that's not good. But it did prove in theory that this will all work. So putting a single trap in a 40 meter end-fed will work. So what have we learned? Well, we've learned that putting a single 7 megahertz trap in an end-fed will work. And it is a viable solution with several advantages because, as you probably know, if you build an 80 meter end fed and you want to use that 80 meter end fed on both 80 meters and 40 meters, or perhaps 20 meters and perhaps 10 meters, what you'll end up having to do is tune that 80 meter end fed extremely low on frequency on 80 meters to get it to work. Otherwise, you'll be way too high in frequency in the higher bands. So by putting a trap in line, you can mitigate that as far as 40 meters is concerned, because you can stop 40 meter RF exactly where you want to and tune so that 40 meters is right spot on frequency. So you don't have to use the tuner in the radio. So 40 and 80 meters you could tune to be very precise in frequency, so you don't have to tune up every time. Well, on 80 meters you might, because it's such a narrow slice. Typically when you're building an 80 meter antenna, you get just a very thin slice of bandwidth, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the beast. But that's a significant advantage if you don't have a tuner in the radio. As far as other advantages, it should make a great NVIS antenna on both 40 meters and 80 meters. We lose that first even harmonic stigma that you don't want, because the pattern just isn't very useful for anything. So it's one way to get around that. And we need, I never did check to see if this is resonant on 15. So 27,300, that follows the model. And at 21 megahertz, we have 1.6 to 1. So yes, this antenna would be usable on 15 meters, just like the model suggested. That's always good to see, because sometimes when you're modeling antennas, you'll get a different result. And it's not because the modeling software is incorrectly calculating your resonances, it's because you're not putting enough data into the model to make it accurately predict what's going to happen. So whenever the finished product matches the model closely, that means that your actual model had enough data in it to be accurate enough that the model's predictions were close enough to your final results. So all in all, it was a good day. That was a fun build, and stick around. We'll do some more of this stuff later on in the future. And thanks for watching.